The greatest advantages for an African entrepreneur is what I want to talk about on this 100 episode, okay? And I personally, based on what I see, based on my experience, what I see right now is these are the three greatest advantages for an African entrepreneur right now that are very unique to the African entrepreneur compared to an entrepreneur who's in Europe, wherever it might be, kind of like the developed countries. It might pretty much apply to India as well, it might apply to Brazil, kind of developing countries, but specifically African entrepreneurs on this video. So the first one is a disadvantage, but it's a great advantage when it comes to the long-term game. And that is basically the small things that I take for granted, and the small things that other developing countries take for granted are basically things like fast internet speeds and not really having to worry to pay a bill on internet, right? You have to get bundles to keep your business going, to keep doing things on the internet. And that's very expensive, and that's a disadvantage. Sometimes you have blackouts for electricity, and that can be very tough for a business that's very technology focused, or in general any kind of business. You need electricity running through your business, and there's all other kind of disadvantages that are out there. It's very hard to I noticed that it's harder to register a business in Kenya than it is in the United States. It's furiously harder in Kenya. There's so many things you gotta go through compared to here in the United States. I can literally register a business right now in less than 20 minutes, if not 5 minutes, okay? And that's another disadvantage. But here's the other side of it. Here's the flip coin of it. The greatest disadvantages you have right now will become your greatest advantages when Africa is starting to get at the same playing level as other countries. Because when people in the United States or people in Europe are complaining about something, okay, and you look at it, you're like, really? You're complaining about that? That's nothing. That's a walk in the park. And that becomes an advantage because you've gone through so much, like your immunity as an entrepreneur is much greater compared to others. I see that as a great advantage. And then number two is basically, entrepreneurship is kind of starting to spring up in Africa right now. And what that basically means is not just entrepreneurship, a lot of different areas, like as a programmer as well. You become a programmer, you're kind of like this person who knows something crazy out there, which is still very true in other parts of the world. But I'm just saying right now in Africa that the spotlight is much brighter, and it doesn't take as much sweat equity compared to things you might have to do in the US or in Europe. And this is what I basically mean. You're able to rapidly network faster. You're rapidly able to get to the spotlight faster, which opens up doors for more people. One entrepreneur who I've been talking with, that I've been kind of researching, is a Kenyan entrepreneur, Barclays Paul. He started a startup that basically focused on helping African women in East Africa, especially in Kenya. And through that, he was able to get invited to the entrepreneurship summit that took place in Kenya, where Obama was there. He got to meet people like Bill Gates. He was actually even recently, I think 2 months ago, flown to the United States at the Health Summit in New York. And through his business, he got the spotlight, and the world is watching African entrepreneurs right now. So if you hit that spotlight, it really opens up doors for you. And that is a great, great advantage that you have right now as an African entrepreneur. Basically, execute, and outwork everyone else who's not doing anything, or they're doing something but you outwork them and you get the spotlight. You can really shine, especially if you're prepared for that. You can really be able to launch your business and launch your career as an entrepreneur to the next level, which is a huge advantage. Now the final advantage is basically you have the opportunity to be a business that lays down the foundation for other businesses in the future. And what I mean by this is, if you look at companies like Google, okay, if you look at companies like Facebook, Amazon, and all the different businesses, they've really laid down a foundation for other entrepreneurs to pivot from there. Okay, Google is access to a lot of information, and a lot of entrepreneurs have been able to build their businesses from that. They've been able to market through those channels like Facebook and be able to reach a wider audience. And those companies have been able to basically open up doors to other businesses. Like, for example, Microsoft and Apple, computers in general, have allowed more businesses and new industries in business to be able to start, right? In the software, in the IT market, and etc. Including even in the healthcare sector, as in all those different things have been able to build a foundation for other businesses. So it's the same thing in Africa right now, where we have a very small, it's basically a monopoly of businesses like MTN, Safaricom, and etc. And Airtel are basically running the kind of the market and tech industry there in a very big way. But it means that there's a lot more opportunity for other businesses right now to be able to come in and take a spot and be able to become the foundation for the next generations of businesses. So that's basically what I have for the three biggest advantages for African entrepreneurs. It goes right back to the first thing, which seems like an disadvantage at first, but it's a huge advantage if you know how to use it and execute it and keep persevering through until you're at the same level of competition as other entrepreneurs. You'll never always be equilibrium, perfect, but it still will give you an upper edge. The next one is the spotlight, right? If you really execute very well and you put yourself out there in a big way, and you do it in a way that's able to make other big business people, other big entrepreneurs to kind of watch you. Like for example, when Mark Zuckerberg came to Africa, he was able to invest in a couple of African businesses because he was really inspired by some of the businesses in Nigeria and Kenya, what they were doing. And some of those companies that were there, like iHub, for example, in Kenya, when Mark Zuckerberg came to Kenya, he was like, who's doing tech here? Oh, iHub. Let's go talk to them. Let's have an interview with their CEO. So that's what it basically means about the spotlight kind of event that's happening in Africa. Be the person in your country right now who's pushing further in that piece of technology. It can be drones, it can be whatever, it can be healthcare, any kind of entrepreneur area, right? Just be the best at what you do, and the spotlight will come, and when it comes, execute on that. And the final part is, don't stop at the stoplight. The spotlight, okay? Stoplight, stop, spotlight, right? Kind of go make sense right there, but don't stop there, because when you have that opportunity, make sure you lay down your foundation so you can be able to not only have your business long term, but also lay a foundation that can help other entrepreneurs in Africa and around the world to be able to execute from what you created. So yeah, that about sums it up. Those are the three greatest advantages for African entrepreneurs. And I hope you find something that is an advantage for you right now that might seem like a disadvantage, because that's where your greatest advantages are, that's where your greatest strengths are. Okay, thanks for watching the video. See you in the next episode. Peace to you out.